We are back with another episode of the Big Thoughts podcast with your host Gordon Williams, the best there is. And I'm joined by Esther, and she'll tell you more about her journey. A brilliant woman, background in nursing, became a property guru, expert, making loads of money. How are you doing, Esther?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No worries, no worries. I've been looking to have you for quite a while, and then when I've seen you putting up a lot of different podcasts you've been going on in recent weeks, I'm like, you're the podcast expert. I have to get you on. And for
Thank
those
you.
that don't know you, if you could just let us know more about your background and how you made that transition from nursing into property.
My name is Esther. I have a background in nursing, and about 3 years ago, I transitioned from nursing to property. And how that came about was I was on maternity leave, wanted more, was thinking about how I could make more money, and for the first time in a very long time, I had the time and the space to kind of think of things that I could do outside of nursing. So did a lot of research, stumbled across property, and literally the rest is history. I just went with it.
And what made you pick property?
For me, property wasn't the first thing. I was just looking for anything I could do outside of
Mm,
nursing. Prior to that, I'd done other things I would consider side hustles. For example, I used to sell bags. I sell jewels on Instagram. I
okay.
used to sell little waist beads. I used to do eyelashes and
You trying to
eyebrows.
build everything.
I tried everything.
Yeah.
But what I found was nothing was as passive enough for me. So with the eyelashes, I was constantly sitting there hours placing each eyelash on the eyelash. For me, I didn't see the difference between a 9 to 5 because I needed to be present. I needed to be there to be making extra money. And with the bags, although that wasn't all the time, but at the time I was still working, so I would often have to leave work to go to the post office. By the time I finished, the post office is closed because I went from 9 to 5. It was just a bit of a hassle. Along with that, I wasn't happy with the product that I was selling, if I'm going to be honest. I wasn't happy with the quality because I would use a bag and then the handle would snap. And I just thought, I'm going to get bad reviews if I continue selling this bag. And
With
yeah, I just decided
from
not to do that.
experiences that friends and family members that are in nursing have told me, it's mentally and physically taxing. How
100%.
did you juggle that and also venturing into property?
At the time when I'd started property, because I went on maternity leave, when I went back to work, I then decided to go part time
Okay.
and I was working from home. In that sense, I was able to manage property
Mm.
and work because I was doing it part time. So 3 days at work and the rest of the week doing my property stuff. So it was kind of balanced that it was okay. Where the issue became unmanageable was when work said, you need to come back full time. And that's when I was like,
Interesting.
no, I'm not coming back full time. But I'd built my property business to the point where I could say, oh, actually,
Wow. Okay.
I'm not coming back full time and I'm just gonna.
How long into your property journey until you got to that point where you realized, you know what, I've done enough where I can now do this full time?
A year,
Wow.
a
Okay,
year.
if we now take a step back, what was your first step? As someone that's also had an interest of getting into property, it's quite overwhelming. Where do I start? And for people that are in a similar position, what would that be that you would recommend?
The first step was identifying my why. Why was I doing this?
Mm,
I know that sounds cliche, but it was. Why am I doing this? And for me at the time, as a nurse, there was a big hoo-ha a few years ago about COVID vaccination. We were all being forced to take the COVID vaccination. At the time, I was pregnant. I really didn't want to take the COVID vaccination because I didn't know the impact that would have on my pregnancy. Now, what that meant for me was while I was on maternity leave, they said to me, well, if you don't take this vaccination, you're going to lose your job. And by the time you come back, if you don't have it, you don't have a job. So for me, that was
Pretty much
12
forced.
months. Yeah, I had 12 months to fit. I was grateful that I had 12 months because had I not been on maternity leave, what would I do? If I'm still refusing this vaccination, what happens? But because I had the 12 months off, for me, that was Esther, you've got 12 months to figure it out. So that if after 12 months they say, sorry, you don't have your job, you are not in a position where you don't have no income. So for me, the 12 months meant so much for me to be in a position where you could financially support yourself if you didn't have this job. And the first thing was my why. And that was my why. My why is a really big why because I need to make sure that I've got income by 12 months.
And you was in a position where you felt like you didn't have a choice.
I
You
didn't have a
had
choice.
to make it happen by any means.
Any means. And I think your why is very important because when you face obstacles, when it feels like it can't work, when it feels like, why am I doing this? When you face rejection, you remember why you're doing this and you're like, no, I need to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. So the first thing is the why. Second was identifying how and who. The biggest one is the who. Who can I kind of copy? Who can I copy? In school, they say, don't copy. In life, copy. Find someone who's doing what you want to do, copy the heck out of them. If you need to join their mastermind, if you need to pay for your education, if you need to join whatever program they're doing, absolutely do just that and copy. And that's exactly what I did. And it was just following the mentorship program. So I joined a course and just took it from there and literally just followed the steps.
After doing that course, you made your first investment. You could,
Well, it didn't quite go like that.
yeah.
And that's why I mentioned rejection and facing obstacles. I'd done my 12-week course, 12-week program, and I was putting in the work with no results. Every day calling landlords, every day going on viewings. By this time, I'd
With
given
this
birth.
calling landlords, what was the desired outcome? They would give you their property at a discounted price. What was the strategy that you were implementing?
At the time, I was doing a strategy called rent to rent.
Okay,
And that's basically when you call a landlord, you get their permission to sublet their property, basically.
makes sense. And when you was
And
calling up the landlord saying, "Hey, my name is Esther. I've now just started getting into property. I would like to get yours." Yeah, how did that all go for you?
I was putting in the work every day, calling landlords, every day going to viewings. By this time, I'd given birth now. So I've got a newborn with a 2-year-old. I had those baby carrier things.
Yes.
And with the 2-year-old, literally logging my kids around, looking
Fair
for
play.
properties. I was doing that, and for like 6 months, nothing. Every day, at night, messaging landlords, calling landlords every day, nothing. So I did reach the point where I thought, what's the point of this? Why am I doing this? I remember having a big, massive cry actually. I was like, is this going to work?
And it's understandable. 6 months is a long period of
Six
time.
months of calling every day. I was on Rightmove, I was on Spare Rooms, I was on everything.
What made you keep
Gumtree.
going?
Say that again.
What made you keep going?
I had no choice. 12 months. If you got no job, each month I'm like, okay, you've got 1 month left. I mean,
Mm.
you've got 1 month down. You've still got, 11 to go. Okay, right. You've got
And
12
now
months.
you're at the halfway point,
You've got 12. Yeah.
no
So
results.
for me, it was just keep going, keep going. And also, if you're in a community of people who are doing this, doing the same thing as you, and they're also facing challenges, and it's normal to face these challenges, then it's like, well, actually, keep knocking on that door, keep knocking, keep knocking, keep knocking, keep knocking. Eventually, the door will open. And that's kind of what fueled
And
me.
how long did it take before you saw your first glimpse of you're going on the right path and there's a potential for you to close a deal? How long did it take until you got to that point?
I would say 3 months in, where I'd almost closed the deal, but something happened.
Okay, so when you got to the 6 month point, although you hadn't closed the deal, because of that early evidence that you were able to get at month 3, there was a sign that I'm still doing the right things, even though I'm not getting the results.
100%.
If I just double down, keep on going, at some point, eventually, I'll get there.
100%. Because at that point, I'd actually got a yes.
Okay.
But I think someone else put an offer in higher than mine.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, well, you're closer than where you were when you started. So
If you
just
didn't get that yes in month 3, do
I
you
didn't.
think you would have still kept going?
If I didn't get the yes,
Yes. Because you said at month 3, that was the sign for you that although someone else put in a higher offer and then you want him to close that deal, because you were close to actually securing it, that was enough for you to realize, Esther, keep on going. Eventually, you'll get over the line. But what if you didn't have that experience? Do you think by month 6, you would have still kept on going?
I would have still kept on going.
Mm.
I would have
Because
still
of your
kept on
why?
going. One, because of my why. Two, because other people in the same space experience the same rejection.
Yeah, yeah. It's
If
normalized.
you understand that it's actually part of the process, like when people approach me now and say, I'm facing a lot of rejection, I'm not getting any properties, I say, well done, you're doing it well. If you're not facing rejection, that tells me you're not calling enough landlords to even be rejected.
Yeah.
You're not getting rejected because you're not putting in enough work.
On average, you might obviously not be able to have an accurate number. How
No, we
many
do.
calls do you
What? How many
think?
you need to call?
Yeah.
You need to be calling at least 80 to 100 a day.
A day.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're not doing that, then what are you doing?
That's different level.
So the first question I ask is how many? Oh, well, I called 20. Get back on the phone.
You
What?
say you want it, but how badly?
How
Are
bad?
you willing to be on the phones for 7 hours and be getting rejections for 80% of the time? I don't think most people want to put themselves through that pain.
You say
It
you
comes back to
will
your why. It comes back to
go
your
back
why.
to your why. Why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Because it does seem crazy. Why would I spend so much time on the phone? Why would I put myself in a position to be rejected? If you're not getting rejected, you are not calling enough landlords to even be rejected.
And during that time, what would you say, with all of the challenges, setbacks, it testing your resilience, what was the biggest lesson you learned during that period of time?
Keep going.
Mm.
No matter how much rejection you face, keep going. Everything else is distraction. Everything else that happens, the no's, just look at your goal, focus on where you need to go, and everything else that happens in between you and the goal is distraction. That's the way I see it. Everything else is distraction. All the
It seems like the
no's,
first 6 months were quite challenging.
very
When
challenging.
did you receive your first bit of positive news and start getting that momentum, closing deals, etc.?
The way I think is a little bit all or nothing
Mm.
in the sense that I'm like, I need to close the deal. It's like, okay, well done for trying, but you need to close the deal now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
like,
what you're doing it for.
do you know what I mean? So it's like, although I was getting these little positive moments of almost closing the deal, but not quite closing the deal, at some point, when that lasts a bit long, it's like, okay, well, initially you kind of get that positive feeling where, oh, I almost did, but I haven't. But when that lasts too long, it's like, well, actually, you need to close the deal now. Like, what's going on
Your
here?
sense of urgency.
Exactly. So for me, it was when I picked up the keys, when I got the yes, and was like, yeah, you can pick up the keys. And that was very exciting. very
And how
experienced.
long into your journey did you get your first yes?
6 months. So I closed the deal in 6 months after I'd actively started contacting
Okay,
landlords.
it was in month 6.
Yeah,
Was there any changes in your behavior during the periods where you got consecutive no's and your first yes, or the way you interacted with landlords? Is there anything
100%.
you did differently, or was it just time?
There's an element of both. It is time, but it is also being confident. You need to sound confident. If
Yeah,
you are
even if you're
calling,
freestyling.
if you're calling a landlord and you're saying, "Oh, I would like your property," and like you're not sounding confident. You need to sound confident. You need to sound like you've done this before. You need to sound like you're part of a team who know what they're doing.
And
Because who would want to
confidence.
give you a property if you're sounding very, oh, and I would like to use your property and why would they do that?
How did you gain that confidence before closing a deal? It's understandable before your first yes, you'll be dealing with insecurities, imposter syndrome, not thinking you're good enough. So before even securing your first yes, how was you able to be confident or come across that way?
With calling landlords and being on the phone, you reflect back. That's something I was doing. So reflecting back and thinking, how could I improve this conversation better? How could I position myself in a different way? How could I make myself sound better next time? And that was something I constantly did. Eventually you get to a point where it's like memory muscle, muscle memory. You just get better each time. And that's kind of how it was.
It's really through the consistency you were able to develop that confidence
100%.
you're after. And beyond confidence, what other skills do you think were important in securing yeses?
Good negotiation and confidence,
And
self-confidence,
confidence.
believing in yourself as well.
Those are the key skills. And would you say those are skills you developed from the course alone, or is it just literally through the experiences you gained through trial and error?
Trial and error. I would say trial and error. But along with that, my nursing, I have a background in nursing and I was in quite a senior position. So
Yeah.
I was okay with speaking on the phone. I was quite confident doing certain things. These are things that I kind of do on a day-to-day basis. It was in a different capacity, but I these are things that I do anyway.
Mm.
So I was very confident doing that.
That's brilliant. And to date, how many properties have you got the keys for?
That's I don't share that actually.
Okay,
What
okay.
I will say though is my portfolio has changed over the
All right.
years. So I did rent to rent. I then changed my strategy to be triple R via refurbished rent refinance.
Mm.
So I actually offloaded all my rent to rents. I haven't formally said this online actually.
All right, okay. This is exclusive, guys. You can thank me. Oh yeah, go on.
I no longer have any rent to rents.
Yeah.
So my
Would you?
portfolio used to consist of rent to rent and B triple Rs. At
Yeah.
the moment, it's just properties that I've bought or purchased.
Would you recommend rental rent for anyone that's looking to start off in property?
100%. I think it's very much dependent on your goal.
Mm.
If you are looking for ownership, my view is go straight into B triple R. If you are solely focused on income and not really particular focused on ownership, then definitely rent to rent. It depends on what your goals are. At the time, I needed income because I was on maternity leave. Maternity pay was crap. I needed money. kind of quickly. I needed that monthly income.
And rent to rent would.
After maternity, I had my job. It was all a fluke. I got my job back. So I reevaluated my business, reevaluated what my needs were. I didn't need monthly income at the time. So then I focused more on wealth building, building wealth and income, but not in the way that I needed it when I was on maternity. I was able to relax a bit and focus more on building wealth.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And I guess with the points you just made, if you're a young person or anyone that's looking to earn an additional stream of income, rent to rent has a much lower barrier to entry in
100%.
comparison to triple R because you're not actually buying the property outright and you're just
100%.
trying to negotiate a deal with the landlord and then you'll pocket the difference.
100%. There are a few controversial points here. People do believe that you can get into rent to rent as a means of then going into bigger projects. It's worked for some people. My personal view is there's better ways to raise the capital to buy bigger projects than spending hours doing rent to rent in order to then buy bigger properties. That's my personal view.
And I know from when we first met and also go through your social media, you was able to raise £100,000 through social media, which is
100%.
amazing. Please tell me and the listeners more about that because I need to do that myself. I'm taking notes.
It's funny people say that because for me, I'm just like it's an everyday thing. I would say when I started my rent to rent, I was just documenting my journey, sharing what I'm doing, and I didn't realize how impactful it was. So
Was
how
it
it
just
was just on Instagram.
wow?
Just on Instagram. I was sharing my journey and I didn't realize how impactful it was in the sense that you've got this girl who's a nurse, she's on maternity, she's logging 2 kids around, she's driving on a motorway, she's stopping on the hard shoulder to breastfeed and she's continuing her journey. And everyone's like, what is this girl doing? Like, what are you doing? Why are you on the motorway? Why are you on the motorway with the kids? And what are you doing? What's all this for? Like, you're on maternity. You should be sitting down resting. And for me, when I kind of got this reaction, I was just a bit like, oh, I didn't see it like that. But I was getting a bit of traction and people were interested in my story. People were interested in seeing my journey.
And just a
And
question before you move on. What gave you the confidence to show your journey on social media unfiltered? Because one thing I've seen through my own experiences coaching and people that want to build a personal brand, they're scared about being seen. But that clearly wasn't the case for you.
if I'm going to be honest, it was the case.
Mm.
I'm a quiet person. I have this thing where I was like, no, I want to be a silent billionaire. I don't really want
Yeah, I used to say, and you quickly realize that is not possible.
I was like, I want to be a silent billionaire. I want to be able to go Nando's in peace. You know, at the time I used to like Tinseltown. I was like, no, I want to go Tinseltown in peace. I don't want nobody, speaking to me, things like that. The honest answer is I wasn't confident. I was not confident to show my face. And till today, I haven't deleted my first posts. And the reason why I haven't is because of conversations like this, because I want people to see, scroll right down to the bottom and study my posts, how I gradually became confident. You could see from my posts. So initially it was just a picture of me, let's say, doing a post, like putting letters in the post. I would never show my face. To gradually then doing voiceovers where I might put a little picture of me. Again, I'm not showing myself. Or I was doing voiceovers where I wouldn't even show myself at all. To then gradually maybe doing a video recording of me doing something like a B-roll to then actually speaking to the camera. It took a while to kind of get to that point.
Through that transition from only showing your hand, putting up through the pose, through to having a mic and speaking in front of the camera, what helped you gain that confidence? Was one of the reasons the exposure to social media and just constantly putting up posts, or was there other means as well?
There was a combination of things. So my instructor at the time, pick up yourself, Luke Properties, he was helping me with my property stuff at the time. He was just like, you need to post, you need to post, you need to post. And he was always encouraging me to post. Same with Seb as well. Shout out to Seb, the broker. He also was like, you need to post. He was holding me accountable. He was like,
Yeah,
you need to post at this time. And I was like, no, I can't. He was like, next week, Wednesday at 12 o'clock, you need to
you
post. I'm going to
better
check.
post.
I'm
Yeah,
going to check. You're going to show your face. And I
accountability.
would have to do it and tag him. I would have to do it and tag him. So I'm so appreciative to them too. I know at the time, they probably didn't really see it as a big thing, but it was a big thing. So gradually I started to do that. And in terms of raising the money, it was just people interacting with me. And also, what gives you confidence is when you do put these things out and people actually engage with it and people are actually interested. It's like, oh, wow, like people actually care about what you're posting. And that was like reassuring because people actually have questions and they want to know. And I kind of felt like it was my duty to follow up and actually give a response. Like if something happened and I hadn't updated them, I would actually get questions. So what happened with that? You showed us about this, but you didn't show us about that. And it was just continuing and building, documenting my journey through every single step of the way. So when I went into doing bigger projects, it was like, well, actually, guys, I'm now doing bigger projects now, and if you want to get involved, this is how you can get involved. And that's how I raised 100K. I say it so flippant, like it was that easy. It wasn't easy.
But from what you're telling me, it's very clear that by putting up content on social media over a sustained period of time, you was able to build trust with your followers
100%.
because they saw the unfiltered version of you. As
100%.
you put it, when I was with my kids, I had to stop on the hard shoulder. All of the raw things I had to do, they were able to see without having ever had a conversation with me in person. So when
100%.
you got to a point where you was looking to raise money, of course I would love to support you
Yeah, it was
because I have seen you and I love what you're doing and I want to be a part of it. Would you say that's
1,010%.
mm,
1,010%. The thing is, with social media, it's like people have an insight into your life. People feel like they already know you before they do. My first investor was someone who she was always commenting on my posts, just always commenting, always responding, always commenting. I didn't know that she was also a nurse or studying to be a nurse. So we had similar things in common. I didn't know. I didn't know. I just thought, oh, she's just always interested. But she was actually studying to be a nurse. We were both from the same area. She knows all these things about me, by the way, and I don't know that about her. So she felt that she could relate to me. And when I was then doing bigger projects, it's like, well, I'm raising this much, and she had the money. It's like, yeah, well, of course I'll invest in you. That was like quite easy actually. My first investor.
so with the 100,000 you raised, how many investors did you have?
I had nine, up to nine. I was officially nine.
And this was solely through your Instagram.
One, one out of them. That's why I say nine, because one was like family friend,
And the 8 were through
and
Instagram.
the eight were
Wow.
social media. Yeah,
Wow.
crazy, crazy. Even for me, it's mind blowing. Some of them I've never met
That
till
is.
today. Some of them I've never met till today.
How many followers do you have? 'Cause I'm sure most people might think, oh, she must have over 15,000 followers.
At the moment, I think it's 1,500, something like that. And
Yeah.
at the time, I only had 900.
Wow.
This is the power of social media. Sometimes I say it's not about the numbers. It's not about the numbers. When I got picked up by Channel 4 to do a documentary for property,
Listen, can you not say that as if that is a small feat? Channel 4, come on.
it was a Channel
Was it
4.
on the back of raising the £100,000?
No, that was before I'd raised 100.
Wow. Okay, tell me more about that.
That was off the back of being identified for breastfeeding on the hard shoulder, looking for proproperties.
That was content you put on social
That's
media to
content
your
put on social
900
media. They
followers.
were interested in the fact that
Wow.
you are looking for property with your newborn. Why are
Crazy.
you not resting? What is going on? What's this about? We want to hear more about what you're up to. Young people buying property. The documentary was really shedding light on young people buying property because growing up, most people felt that buying property was like something you do in your older age. So it was like, well, you're doing it and you're raising money through social media. So it was a combination. At the time, I'd raised some money, but I hadn't quite raised 100,000. I was actually like in the middle of raising. So at the time when I did the documentary with Channel 4, I'd raised 30k. I still had 70 to go.
And then after that, I guess things exploded. In terms
A
of
little
exploding,
bit, a little bit, a little bit. I was talking to one of the other guys that was on the show, and we were like, we didn't really get the impact we wanted, did we?
but it's something you can leverage though, because with every
110%.
conversation you have, and even for your social media presence, featured on Channel 4, raised
Yeah,
£100,000.
110%. And I think at the time we were like, oh, it didn't have the impact we wanted. But then 2 weeks after, it did have the impact that I was
Sometimes it
expecting.
takes.
It
Sometimes
takes a
let's be
bit of
patient.
time. That landed me two investors.
Amazing.
They said they watched the show, they liked my vibe, XYZ, and yeah, they jumped on board, and that's how I kind of completed that deal.
And would you say as well, the fact you had a strategy, which most people would say the likelihood of being successful is minimal if you're only using Instagram organic content to raise £100,000. How could you possibly do that? Would you say you needed to have a level of audaciousness
A
to even
thousand and
think
ten
to
percent,
do that?
1,010%, and it's mindset. Even now, when I tell my story, or people in similar fields to me tell their story, it's like, oh, well, who's going to give you that money? Who's going to, like, why would a stranger do this and XYZ? And I appreciate people don't understand it. But one, audaciousness. Two, believing in yourself. Believing in your ability to actually execute what it is you're putting out there. And being delusional. You need to be a
Oh,
little
I
bit
100%
delusional.
agree with you. Yeah.
You need to be delusional because for me, it happens in the mind before it happens physically. I need to believe it's in my head, it's happened already. It's already happened. I just need to make it happen. It's happened already. That 100k was in my account way before it landed in there.
And then you just align your actions to that belief
100%.
you have. Honestly, with some of the things you've shared with me, is beyond impressive. There's a quote that came to mind while you were talking about that from Les Brown, and he was pretty much saying this is not verbatim. It's difficult to see the picture when you're inside the frame. So when you're living those experiences, you just think, yeah, feature on Channel 4, raised 100 grand. Yeah, honestly, it's not that big of a deal. But when you have conversations with people and they're like, what? It's
Yeah,
sometimes that just reminds me, wow, what I've done, it's not something to downplay. This is amazing. And to be
100%.
able
I
to
think
do
for
this in a
me, it's
space of
something
time.
I need to remember and keep in mind. There's
Yeah.
even some stuff I've done I haven't shared online, maybe because I play it down. I'm like, oh yeah, oh what that? Oh yeah, yeah. And then I say it to someone, they're like, no, you need to share that. You need to share that. And for me, social media is still something that, even though I've done all these things and it's evidence that actually this works, it's still something that I do push myself and think, oh, Esther, you need to get back on that. And I have to remind myself, look, these are the fruits that came out of this. Like, keep going, keep going. I need to remind myself.
And I think you've
Constantly.
done it in the right way, in the sense of now, in the process of building your social media, you've also been doing the work in the background. You have the credibility, and there will be thousands of people that would want to understand your strategy for raising £100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something that could potentially be a repeatable process.
Mm-hmm.
If you're able to actually look back, crystallize it, okay, this is what you need to do over a 90-day period.
Mm.
Nurture potential leads, build those connections, respond to their comments, and that puts you in a position when you're now making this ask for them to say, you know what, I want to support you. But I honestly think even beyond Instagram, on TikTok, on all these various
100%.
platforms, showcasing your story as much as possible. Put a
100%.
spotlight on it because you're amazing at stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just conscious of time, but I absolutely love this conversation. From the point that I met you, you're already highly successful. You've done amazing things. What made you decide to invest in yourself and do a public speaking course at that point in your journey?
I come across as very confident, right? I'm on social media. If you talk to me, I kind of just talk and I get on with it. However, deep down inside, I know, ask me to speak in front of a crowd, ask me to speak in front of loads of people. Oh, that's like the worst nightmare for me. That was just something that I felt really anxious about. And because I'd
Any
been kind of getting
particular
this traction,
reason? Just a question. Any particular reason for that?
I'm just shy. Just shy, just shy, just shy. I said earlier, I'm actually a really quiet person. When I say quiet, not necessarily quiet, like around my friends, I'm like really bubbly and really, but in open spaces, I'm someone who just kind of shies away. I just shy away from like attention. I do shy away from attention. I shy away from attention. So I I was in a position where I was kind of getting this traction. So I had Channel 4, I had going on people's podcasts. I had this and I thought, oh gosh, eventually you will get called to speak at some event. How will you manage that? Are you equipped for this thing that you're building? You're building this, you don't know where it's going. Are you equipped for what you're actually doing here? And that's what made me do it. Oh, actually, I was actually called to do a speaking event. I was called to speak at an event and I panicked. That was it. I
Yeah.
panicked and I called Fred and I said, I've got a speaking engagement in a few
You
weeks.
told you told me about it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I told you about it as well. And I was like, what do I do? And he kind of like gave me a bit of coaching.
and that helped.
That helped. That helped. But that was like over the phone. That was like, really quick, very, very quick until I came to the actual course, and then I met you, and then we did like proper coaching. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm more equipped now because by then I'd got another speaking one, and then I got another speaking one. I've got another one on the 13th of September.
Wow, global speakers. What would you say was the biggest differences you saw in yourself before doing the course and afterwards?
It's incorporating what I've learned and being mindful of the things you don't really think about when you're speaking. For example, strategies that we've been taught when you're speaking to an audience, thinking about, are they engaging with you? How do you get them to interact with you? These strategies that's taught. And that's why I say you need to invest in yourself. Even if you think you're the best, you need to just keep going and keep learning.
Would you say there's been any shift in how you view yourself as a result of doing this training, the confidence gained, and skills developed?
100%. 100%. I would say I'm more confident. I'm more aware of things that I could do better
Mm.
because you don't know what you don't know. If, for example, even myself, if I'm someone who I have no problem picking up the phone, I have no problem kind of going on social media talking. If someone gives me the mic, oh yeah, I could probably talk, but are you doing it to a level where you command authority or you can gain credibility or it matches your brand? Are you doing it to that level where you're professional, like you can actually do it properly?
To a good
Anyone
level.
can speak on the mic and anyone can kind of hold a conversation. I think holding a conversation and actually demonstrating that you could be a speaker and you could speak properly is different.
And would you say that now, when you look at the talk you did before doing the course, and Fred had the time to jump on a call and give you some tips, and some of the speaking engagements you've done after the course, would you say there's a significant difference between the two?
100%. I'll say there's a significant difference. I'm still learning and I'm
Of
still on
course.
the course.
Yes.
I'm, I'm
You need
still
to
on
come to
the
the weekly
course.
classes. I haven't seen you in a while.
I told you.
We'll talk about that when the cameras stop rolling. Don't worry.
Yeah. I am still learning and I am still perfecting certain things, just like you
Yeah.
do each time. So I would say there's definitely been an improvement and it's just perfecting every single time, every single time, every single time.
Really good. And would you say there's a direct return on investment as someone in property by doing courses like this?
1,010%. For example, speaking to investors, you come across very confident. You can close deals, speaking to other investors, going to public speaking events and doing. The thing is, when you are in this space, and for example, myself, you're building this thing, you don't know where it's going to go. I've now been forced, in my view, I feel like I've been forced to develop myself in this way. It's not something I planned, but because I'm being called to do this, it's like, well, actually, this is going to help you and support you, which means potentially bigger deals, potentially, speaking at bigger events. You don't want to destroy your credibility by being called to speak at a big event and you're standing there doing nothing or
Everything needs to be aligned.
you crumble.
Yeah.
So I would say there's definitely a return on investment.
Brilliant. And correct me if I'm wrong, but with how your business is now positioned, are you also helping nurses that want to get into property?
I am, but it's something that I'm thinking about. I haven't officially made the decision. I was going to move away from it.
Okay.
I was going to. There's a part of me that I do have a soft spot for nurses. And when nurses approach me to help them, by all means, I do. But yes, the short answer is
Something
yes.
you're thinking about, but at the moment, yes.
At the moment, yes.
Okay.
At some point, it may stop.
Okay.
So
That's
get it while you can, basically.
all right. Now, as we near the end of today's episode, what's next for you?
Bigger and better stuff. I've got plans I can see, and it's just follow the journey and see what I'm up to.
All right. Where can we find you on social media?
So Instagram, my main platform is Instagram, Alafia Properties. I'm on TikTok. My name's Esther Lara. It's Esther Lara. Facebook, Esther Lara. And I will be joining YouTube.
Brilliant. We look forward to it. And just a question for anyone that wants to get into property, they are not confident, struggle to speak in front of people, under pressure. What piece of advice would you give them?
1, believe you can. 2, book your session, your mastermind, your training with believe in greatness. Get that locked in and develop your confidence.
All right, brilliant. I think that brings us to the end of the Big Thoughts podcast with Esther. I loved it. Very insightful. What you've done up until this point is amazing, and we look
Thank
forward to
you.
what you have coming next. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much.